Hi everyone, Jacqueline Kuhn here with JacquelineKuhn.com, powered by angels. And today we're going to talk about Archangel Ariel and the Neptune transit in this Angels and Astrology video extra. This is a very important transit and a huge change. I'm recording this on Thursday, the 29th. This transit actually began on the 27th. So Neptune moves slowly. It's going to remain in place for quite a while. So you may or may not have felt anything yet, as as it slowly moves, you will begin to pick up this energy. But before we get started in the details, just to recap, I teach about and connect with 15 archangels. 3, Michael, Raphael, and Haniel, which are shown at the top here, are not associated with zodiac signs. The remainder are. Because this transit is talking about Aries, we are working with Archangel Ariel, the first archangel on the top row left. All the other archangels are wonderful archangels. It's not to say that they can't be helpful. It's just that when things move in, when a planet moves into a specific zodiac sign, our first inclination when we're struggling with this new energy or want to take better advantage of this new energy, our first inclination should be to work with the archangel that is associated to that sign. So this is where the planets are placed right now. We have quite a few in Aquarius. The moon is transiting through Taurus. The moon moves very quickly. Every couple of days it changes signs. So this is actually where it was this morning, the morning of the 29th in Central Time Chicago area. Many in Aquarius. Jupiter and Uranus are still retrograde. Saturn is still in Pisces, but Neptune has moved from Pisces to Aries. And that happened on the 27th. And Pluto, of course, as we know, is in Aquarius and will remain there for quite some time. So when this transit happens, when Neptune moves into Aquarius, it actually changes the tone of everything quite dramatically. What Neptune does is it literally dissolves boundaries. It removes those boundaries that kept us from doing something or moving forward. And Aries is action, right? It's ruled by Mars. It's the planet of action. And so when you've got Neptune dissolving boundaries and barriers, and Aries, which is action, he is the god of war, I remember, if I remember my mythology, it becomes extremely significant with major structural changes throughout the world. So let's talk about the history of Neptune and Aries. So it takes 165 years, yeah. So you may not actually ever experience a Neptune and Aries, right? There are generations that just would never experience this because it's 165 years to cycle through the zodiac. That's why when you look at your chart and you look to where Neptune is, it's more of a generational placement than it is very as specific to your birth date. Because it's in a sign for a very long time, and it will remain in Aries until 2039, right? So 2039, that's a long time in a sign, and it just moved there. So this means that the changes are underfoot, right, are getting sparked. It may take and probably will take a number of years before things actually happen as a result of this. But historically, these are some events that happened when Neptune was in Aries in the past. Neptune was in Aries during the American Civil War and during the abolishment of slavery. That was incredibly transformational for our country. Italy was unified, Germany was unified, also in that same time period. In the 17th century, the Enlightenment occurred during Neptune and Aries and the ending of many monarchies across Europe. If you watch a Netflix show, The Empress, it's really about the monarchy, the Habsburg monarchy, and how it began to crumble, and it takes place in this 17th century period. So really interesting to kind of watch to kind of watch that series if you're a history person. It's of course dramatical, but it's quite interesting. We had the Protestant Reformation in the 1500s. In the 1300s, we had the peasant uprising and the breaking down of feudal structure, right? Breaking down the boundaries where, the feudal system, where peasants had to rely on their feudal lords for everything. It wasn't quite slavery, but it was pretty close. And that was also the beginning of the apocalyptic religious movements, where people were, reaching out beyond what was being taught by basically the Catholic Church at that time, because it's really before the time of Martin Luther. The Protestant Reformation really was a couple hundred years ago, and that was what was in the 1500s during Neptune and Aries. And then the Christian Crusades and Mongol expansion way back in the 1200s. So you can see that historically, this is a time of structural, organizational, government, freedom kinds of changes that happen when Neptune is in Aries. And so regardless of the era or what the era was like, you can expect under Neptune and Aries for them to be identity revolutions, nations, religions, individuals redefining who they are or going back to their roots of how they began, right? Because everyone evolves, or even religions and nations evolve, and during Neptune and Aries, it's like, okay, who really are we today and who do we need to be? Many find that they want to go back to how they originally constituted or a very different way altogether. Aries rules conflict and Neptune spiritualizes it. So that's where you have uprisings and rebellions, and some of them may take the tone of a spiritual or religious kind of nature as well. So you want to watch in our current time for fringe religious groups, and creating wars and uprisings. So kind of a lookout for that. It's also a time of new thinking and new ideas, new ideologies, new belief systems emerge, reformations. Reformations are huge, reforming what is happening, and then collapsing of old structures, empires, institutions, and very much like Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius, individual freedoms, right, are highlighted as well. But it's more of a revolution to get that freedom as opposed to Neptune and Aquarius is more collective thinking that everybody needs to be free and a birth of new eras. A lot of this is, a lot of the technology breakthroughs that come under Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius, will also drive some of these, reformations. Because as technology evolves and people learn truths about things that have been hidden, and technology can expose those truths, then we begin to feel disillusioned or want to rebel against what is in place today. And so whenever Neptune moves into Aries, every, 20 some years when it moves, it marks the beginning of a new historical chapter. It really does. So what should we expect? As I said, political realignments, identity-based movements, technology leaps, especially those tied to autonomy, individuality, and warfare, spiritual activism, new global power structures, and rebirth energy, collective rebirth energy. If you wish to go into private sessions to talk about the current environment and how this might impact it, I will be more than happy to do so. Comment on the video that you would like to do a private session. I don't want to talk about these things in public on YouTube because some of them can be very sensitive and don't want to anger the masses. But if you want to go to a private session and how I see this impacting the world as it is today, please mention that in the comments and I will create a private Zoom for those who want to discuss this free of charge. So what does this mean for you? Well, Neptune moves from Pisces, which is water, to Aries, which is fire, right? So this is a shift from avoiding to confronting, right? From dreaming, Pisces is a very dreamy kind of energy, to doing, dreaming of what's possible, to making it possible, and then self-sacrifice to self-advocacy. So under Pisces, you're a little more of, okay, yeah, I can put up with this. I'll give up. I'll give this up for whatever. Self-advocacy is, no, I'm going to speak up for myself. So as this Neptune in Aries continues to move and the energy gets stronger, you're going to probably find people are speaking up for themselves more and maybe talking back to you and not accepting things the way they used to. So this is definitely going to be a very different dynamic. And then you add the Aquarius in Pluto, which is also about individuality, and sparks can rise. Think of yourself as a spiritual warrior, right? Aries is courage, Neptune is spiritual. And so this is a call to express your spirituality. You no longer have to hide. It is okay to be who you are. I am okay to be the angel lady. Angels are amazing and wonderful. There's nothing wrong with angels, right? So your spirituality doesn't need to hide its light anymore. Neptune dissolves. Aries rules identity. So shed your own self, your old self. Really, two important questions to ask as this transit begins is, who am I and what do I stand for? Right? Get that crisp and clear, because there's going to be, like I said, there's revolution up front. And you need to know what you stand for and who you are so that you're not pushed and pulled by the rhetoric that you're going to be hearing from others. And then Aries is the spark. Neptune is the muse, right? So inspiration and creativity, entrepreneurship, artistic endeavors, reinvention and invention. All of these things are things that if you can think about, if you've wanted to jump into entrepreneurship, this is the really good energy to do that in. If you are looking to reinvent yourself, right, have that second thing, now is the time to do so. And I will be in a few weeks, I am going to be launching a whole new offering that will actually tap into this Neptune and Aries energy. So it'll be an intense program of learning and understanding and guiding. So keep an eye out for that. And then if you think about what Aries does, it brings clarity through action enabling, right? It to make it happen, and a renewed sense of purpose, which is why it's really important to make sure you know who you are and what you stand for. Because if you don't know, you're going to feel really, I wanted to say fish out of water, but that's kind of what it is. If you really aren't grounded in who you are and what you stand for, the world around you is going to try to define that, and you're going to really struggle with that personally. Now, Archangel Ariel is our archangel for Aries, and she is all about manifesting in this world that we live in. and turning inspiration into action. And this is how she really aligns with that Aries, right? Because Aries is action. And that's what she can be called upon. She's also Earth's warrior princess, right? She's the warrior princess for all things Earth, all things earthly, animals, plants, us humans, and provides courage to be that warrior princess and stand up for who we are and what we believe in. Grounded, heart-centered leadership, right? She's the grounding archangel because she's all about Earth. She is Mother Earth. And she also helps us act on our intuition without doubting it, right? Really understanding, who am I? What do I stand for? What do I need to do as a result of it? And so as we move into this new era that will be created, you'll want to perhaps add Archangel Ariel to your daily devotion or invocation and just say, Archangel Ariel, please be with me today. Give me the courage to be who I am meant to be, to speak up where needed, and to lead with a grounded, heart-centered focus. And help me turn what I was thinking of doing into really making it happen, into materializing. That's how you talk to her. Very similar, just like talking to a friend. Now I'm going to put a couple of slides up on how this energy will impact each zodiac sign and how you can harness the energy. So like impact is not necessarily negative. It means how can you take advantage of this energy? What are you going to be called to do? How can you, you know, embrace and embody this to move yourself forward? So this slide covers Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. You might want to pause the video or take a page shot of it if your sign comes up. Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. If this is one of your signs, you may want to pause the video or, like I said, take a page shot of it. And lastly, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. May want to take a picture, pause the video. I'm not going to read through each and every one of them. So I want to take this time to really thank you for watching the video. Please comment if you want a private session, private time that will not be recorded, where we can talk about the impacts as I see them, given the political climate that we have today. And I'd be more than happy to do so. Look out for a brand new program that I am putting together for this year. It's probably 2 to 3 weeks out, which is truly designed for a transformational experience centered on the archangels. And as always, if you need a one-on-one session, go to my website and you can book that with me still automatically through the website. Until we speak again, be safe, be at peace, and be blessed. Thank you very much.